Hello, welcome back to Planner Apocalypse. Today I'm going to be going into, finally, my 𝖙𝖍𝖎𝖓 update. It's currently June. The TLDR is it's going great. So I do have a few notes. I had to watch my old videos about this Maker's Year / 𝖙𝖍𝖎𝖓 to refresh. So this is basically just the mid-year update and what I'm learning so far. So I want to just put a disclaimer here for right now. Anything that I say in this video is solely about my own experience. I am not prescribing things for anybody else. I will be talking a little bit about Debtors Anonymous and my feelings about it, and I realize that this may be controversial. So this is, again, what has been working for me. This is not about anybody else, so just keep that in mind. If something like that works for you, please keep doing it. We're all different people and we need different solutions. So with that said, because I really don't want to have to repeat this disclaimer like throughout the video because I tend to do that. So just keep in mind, I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from getting help from something like a 12-step program if that is what is going to be useful for them. So with that said, let's move on. So first of all, if you want to watch the original videos, well, it starts with, I think, Vlog Humbug Day 17 and then goes through 18 and 19, possibly. I'll put them in the links and put the first one in the cards. And I will just go through the list of things I can and cannot buy here. There's going to be more in the other videos if you're actually interested. But since I have an Etsy shop, I guess I should back up a minute. So my 𝖙𝖍𝖎𝖓, I took this on because I was a compulsive shopper and it was out of control. I racked up a lot of credit card debt and I also hid my purchases from my husband, and it was an ugly situation. It was not great. And I've discovered since coming clean to him back in December of last year that the hiding of the secret was part of the problem that kept me going. Because with addiction, because I did have a shopping addiction, retail therapy, with addiction, shame is one of the top drivers for addiction. So when you have things out in the open, it's easier to deal with, from my experience, because you're no longer trying to hide it and keep it secret. And when you feel like you need to keep something secret about yourself, you're already making that shame way bigger. And when you feel shame, you have all these feelings that you feel like you need to escape from. And then you turn to your unhealthy coping mechanisms. That's why people have addictions, because they want to escape their pain. This video is probably going to be very disorganized. I am a disorganized mind. But yeah, that's why I did the 𝖙𝖍𝖎𝖓. For my category of interest were planners and journals and stationery items and stickers. And so I framed this as my Maker's Year because I'm also a graphic designer. So I said to myself, if I want a planner, I have to design it. If I want to try out a new planner spread, I have to design it myself. So the idea was like, I can design something and put it in my shop and then hopefully make sales to help me pay down my debt. And while the no buying part has been super great, the actually putting things up in my shop has not been super great. That's turning around this month, actually. I did put up a new mid-year planner in my shop. I can link it down below. I figured out how to do a data merge in InDesign to date my planners. So that means that I'm going to be able to offer a wider range of weekly spreads for my Memento Mori Goal Planner in October, or I'm not sure when it's going to be released. It's probably going to be released in October. But anyway, let's get back to the topic here. So what I can and cannot buy, because I have an Etsy shop, I can buy shop supplies, but it must have an immediate purpose. So I can't troll the clearance section of a craft store and be like, oh, that's a nice out-of-date planner that I can upcycle into a different planner. I can't do that. I'm not allowed. I'm allowed to buy things like massages or things to manage my health and pain. I have hypermobile joint disorder, joint hypermobility, whatever it's called. It kind of sucks, but I can go to a cafe, but I have to pay with cash. The full version of Your Turn to Die, which is a video game that me and my son play together, was supposed to come out, but I didn't actually buy it. Replacement items for like, you know, deodorant and that kind of thing. I was going to try a manicure and then never did. I was going to allow myself to buy a contour palette and never did. I don't really wear makeup that much, but it's more like for costume stuff. I allowed hair dye as a replacement, as you can see. I still have to re-dye stuff, but I do have enough overtone to do a second run. Haircuts were allowed. Developer if I needed it for my bleach. I ended up using all of my bleach, so I dumped the rest of the developer that I had, and I'm not going to be bleaching my hair anymore. And I also said the only exception to the no planner or whatever planner adjacent items was the 𝖍𝖎𝖓𝖙 cousin spring release if I was staying in a cousin, and I ended up moving back into a discount because I had one reschedule upcycled planners of my Memento Mori Goal Planner left. I didn't want that to go to waste because that defeats the purpose, so that's what I'm in now. I actually canceled most of my subscriptions. The only subscription that I really missed is the 𝖬𝖎𝖓𝖓 subscription because I love my astrology, and I actually found it very healing and helpful. But I was able to, after consulting my husband, because that was part of our deal that we have to talk about every single purchase, I subscribed to CapCut Pro so that I could use their AI cutting function, which has been super helpful. I'm just going to put that out there, not sponsored. And then I also have website stuff as can buy in 2023. And that's good because that was actually a surprise renewal. I was not expecting my hosting plan to be renewed this year, so and then what I cannot buy is anything planner adjacent. Hair bleach, tarot and oracle decks, because I've got more than enough. No more courses. I do have things in mind that I put on a wish list. No more courses. What to do instead would be see if there's something like it on Skillshare, or, you know, other resources like books at the library or YouTube. So yeah, another thing was no more buying nonfiction or fiction books. I have to finish reading the nonfiction books that I'm in the middle of, and I have an extensive library of books that I've bought and then have not read yet. Not to mention the public library also has stuff. So that's been working great. I cannot do any in-app purchases unless I use a gift card, which I didn't do that. So what I'm doing for in-app purchases, which I've made very few, is occasionally Google Rewards will send me a survey and they will give me like, 20 cents or something. So I painstakingly save up for, like $1 or $2 or something, so that I can, do an in-app purchase every 4 months or something. It's ridiculous, but that's actually been really helpful. Originally, I said unless I use a gift card, where I would have to go to the store and pay for the gift card in cash. But having to go to the store is a pain in the ass, so I didn't do that. And then that's pretty much it for the rules. So what have I been doing instead of buying things? So as we know, as I mentioned in the beginning, we are coming at this as an addiction thing. So an addiction is basically a coping mechanism in order to escape the feelings that you do not know how to process, or you do not want to process because you never learned how. And a lot of that is rooted in trauma. Trigger warning, we're going to talk about trauma on this video because that's been a very big part of my life and my journey. I'm not going to get into details because I would like to keep some privacy. But yeah, so instead of buying, what I've been doing is I will put it on a wish list. So whether that is an Amazon wish list or just saving it to a Pinterest board, and then I will immediately say one day but not today and close the tab, and that's it. The biggest thing was probably unsubscribing from all of the sales emails and stuff like that, and not going to the websites. That is challenging a little bit because I design planners for my job, and so I do a lot of market research by looking at what kind of planners are out right now and what's trending and stuff like that. But after a while, maybe like 2 or 3 months of just complete avoidance, I was able to go and look without trying to buy anything. Like, the only time I slipped up was earlier in the year in January, this is the thing, I forgot to add on to my okay list anything for homeschool, because I homeschool my son, and he wanted to get into video game design, and I have RPG Maker on Steam. So Steam lets you share a library with people. So I was like, that's great. Let's hook you up. And, I found this RPG Maker course on Skillshare. We'll do that and it'll be great. And then I tried to get it all set up and I couldn't find it. And it, maybe like half an hour, I was getting very frustrated. Then after some Googling, I found out that while Steam lets you share games, they don't let you share software, which is what RPG Maker is. And so I got super pissed off because I'm like, I already bought this. What the hell is, So I let my emotions get the better of me and I purchased RPG Maker for my son. It was on sale. That's not the point. The point was I was supposed to check with my husband before I bought it. And I was so frustrated and angry that rational thought did not occur to me. But that was a good learning experience because it really brought to the forefront that I need to really pay attention to my emotional state before I hit the buy button. And that's part of the toolkit that I put together for this. So yeah, originally, I was having a lot of FOMO and stuff like that. I still watched planner videos and stuff like that, but I think that having to be in the planners that I have and just distancing myself from always looking for the next thing has helped me to figure out what's working and what's not working. For example, this is the planner I designed, so I designed this for myself, so I know that works. But for my work planner, which is, I've got the Nightmare Before Christmas Happy Planner with the dashboard layout like this. This has not been working for me. I'm barely in here, but let's see. I think it was, what is this, April? April, I started getting itchy fingers around the Erin Condren Daily Duo. So I do have the Daily Ladder, which is, I guess, my version of the Daily Duo. It's about to undergo a complete overhaul, but so I printed this for this quarter and it's over in July. This has actually been working really well. I had originally gotten my 𝖦𝖎𝖏𝑚 because I wanted, a daily planner, but I also use it for journaling and blah, blah, blah. But what I feel like is when I have a daily planner, I need it to be able to be messy. And when I'm in my 𝖦𝖎𝖏𝑚, I cannot be messy because that's like my archival memory keeping kind of thing. So yeah, this has been working really well. I don't always use the actual timeline, which is fine. And I don't actually get all of my to-dos done. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing is, taking away a lot of the to-do space because I think 14 things is kind of a lot in a daily thing. We only have so much time in a day, so expecting myself to be able to get through all of these tasks, no. Especially because a lot of them are multiple projects, which have, multiple steps. So like this Daily Ladder, this is my today. We've got, film the no spend update and then all of the steps. And then I usually cannot get more than, 5 to 7 things done per day. Also, I want to just share with you, look at my beautiful clowns that I drew. They're beautiful. Look forward to stickers in my shop. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Where are my notes? Okay, so aside from doing the unsubscribe and the avoidance of my trigger websites, I guess. Because those gave me some distance from thinking and obsessing about the item. And part of my plan also was my recovery journal. And this was very helpful within that first couple of months as I was trying to get myself to focus on different things. So the next part, which I think is really beneficial, is a problem because I know this is not accessible for everybody. I am in the unique position where I don't have to go to the grocery store. My husband does the shopping. Going to the grocery store is overwhelming for me and my anxiety. So he is kind enough to do that for our family. So really the only shopping that I do, occasionally, yes, the kind of home stuff, but mostly it's for my work or my binge items. So having that extra distance, and again, I recognize this as a privilege. I was a single mom for a long time, so I get it. You can't just not buy stuff, but it's trying to get to focus on what you actually need and what you actually want. Because when we are in our addiction, we think we need the thing right now, otherwise we're gonna die. That's a lie. So when the need arises, can you sit with the feeling of needing it and knowing that you can't have it? Sit with the feeling and just breathe through it. It will be okay. You're not gonna die. You might be disappointed, but the disappointment's not gonna kill you. And I say this for myself as well. Helen from the Coffee Monsters Co. is having a huge release with lots of washi tape. And I'm like, oh no! But can't do it. I don't need that washi tape enough where I am going to ruin everything that I have been working for this year. You know, like half of my debt is paid off from taxes, not from hard work, but I'm doing my best. Okay, so moving on to, let's talk about the recovery journal. As I mentioned, and I have a whole video on setting this up and stuff like that and how I'm using it, I fell off around May. And even in March, there's like a lot of like empty spaces, but I was just like, by this point, I didn't need it anymore. And so what I was doing with this is, the idea was to write down gratitude, track my mood to see, because a lot of times when I would be depressed, I would buy things to try to make myself feel better quickly, but that would eventually make me feel worse because I splurged again and I couldn't afford it, which spiraled. When you start living out of alignment and you keep doing these things, it will spiral in on itself and perpetuate the bad behavior. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so tracking temptation, so like anything that's catching my eye that I might be fixing on. Eventually, I didn't really have any fixations except for maybe the Daily Duo, and I made my own. So, and then just for today and some hand lettering like that. That's from a book I got. It's a daily reader, Getting Out from Going Under, I believe, and I can put the link and a little picture up so you know what the cover looks like. I don't remember the author's name, sorry, but it's a daily reader. She's not like officially associated with Debtors Anonymous, but she is in Debtors Anonymous and is a compulsive spender. It actually walks you through the 12 steps of Debtors Anonymous throughout the year. So since there are 12 months in the year, you are focused on one step per month. And there's just like a page to read. And then I would take a quote from it or something like that resonated, and I would journal a little bit about it. Or I would go into my wild schemes of, I need to do this, I need to do that, or what I'm talking to Nick about, or any of these things. But here's a good one, actually. Hope is seeing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I like that one. But yeah, so I was reading through the 12 steps. I do have the 12-step workbook. However, I started running into some problems. I did join like a bulletin board for DA, and it just was not helpful for me. It wasn't. So here's where some hot takes are going to come in. And again, if you or someone you love has found comfort in the community of a 12-step program, I have no shade. This is where, like, I know what I need, and this kind of program does not provide what I know I need. So for those of you who don't know, Debtors Anonymous is based on the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous, which is, I think it's the original 12-step program. And okay, so going into a little bit of the history of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous was founded in the 1930s during Prohibition, when it was just illegal to drink. And it takes a deeply moral stance on addiction. And I disagree with that very much. Back then, we didn't know about the roots of addiction and where it comes from and how it works. And the brain science that we have now is so much better than anything we could have known back then. And not only that, but trauma work and stuff like that. We have the resources now to improve our methods. And so addiction is not moral. It's not a moral failing. And the way that some, not all, 12-step programs will talk about addiction, even using the disease model of addiction, it implies that there's no cure and you can't get better. I don't believe that. It felt very disempowering to me. As somebody who's done so much therapy and shadow work to try to heal my wounds, having an entity tell me that I'm basically never gonna get better and I can't trust myself because I'm the one that got myself into this mess in the first place, that was just a huge red flag for me. Because through my own traumatic experiences in my life, I was trained to not trust myself and not trust my judgment. So all of my healing work has been moving toward being able to trust my own judgment. And so that rubbed me the wrong way. That was my first And I don't remember the exact wording, but when I was reading the DA handbook, it was saying stuff like trying to figure out why you are spending out of control is useless. Basically just stop. And don't ever stop going to meetings and have other people set up your budget and all of these things. And I'm just like, how are people going to take responsibility if they're not taking responsibility? Yes, if you need help with your budget, absolutely get an outsider's opinion and stuff like that. Just for me personally, I need to know why. I feel like the reason why 12-step program's success rate isn't where it should be, despite the fact that it's the most popular form of addiction, whatever, is because I feel like it's just a band-aid. If you don't address the root of your addiction, where it's coming from and why you are doing it, you're just going to keep doing it, or you're just going to move from one addiction to the next one. So for me personally, I have to know why and what are the drivers that are taking me to this place. What are the emotions that I'm trying to avoid by buying things? How is this absolutely festering inside me by keeping it suppressed and secretive? And that's actually part of the reason why I really enjoyed the Shopaholics book, wherever that is, because that author is, I think she's a therapist or something. I don't remember. Psychologist? Anyway, I think that a 12-step program could be effective if you also do some of this soul searching and have a therapist to bounce things off of. I think it's I think it's useful to have a peer support group because it's helpful to know that you are not alone in your struggles. So don't get me wrong about that. I do think that these groups should have someone with a licensed therapy background so that we're not just spinning our wheels. I don't know. That's just my take on it. Again, you do you, but I needed something that this could not provide for me. So, I did a lot of journaling through the first couple of months and a lot of tarot which is one of my own healing modalities. I realize it's not for everybody. And the recovery journal was helpful for the time that I was using it. I think actually I haven't used it at all this month. Starting next month, I think, because this thing is going to be running out as my daily planner, I'm just going to use this as a daily planner because I don't want to waste it. And it will satisfy my desire to be in a 𝖍𝖐𝖓𝖏 again, so that's nice. And out of the giant stack of books that I bought to read through for my Shopaholic kind of year, I've read one. I've read the Shopaholic's book. I have not read any other book. I'm in the middle of reading the Debtors Anonymous handbook. To be honest, I've broken my cycle. I've broken the cycle that I was stuck in about obsessing about things and buying things that I couldn't afford and then hiding it and letting that shame fester and make me feel bad. And then in order to feel better, I would buy things and perpetuate the cycle. The cycle is broken. Am I healed yet? I feel great. I feel like the true test will be going into a craft store or I don't know, but with it being out in the open, it's been a lot easier. So also, when you have an addictive behavior and you are trying to quit, you need to figure out in advance what you're going to do instead. So if you are addicted to social media, maybe you will take the app off of your homepage and then put like the Kindle app or something where your Facebook or Twitter app or Instagram or whatever, your TikTok, whatever. Put some other app that is healthy in place of that app. Or just remove it from your phone altogether and add more steps in the way of you getting that thing. So instead of going shopping, even browsing, I have started up a sketchbook that's somewhere. My room is a mess. And I've been using my new paints that I bought last year and just having fun with that. And I've also gotten back into watching anime and K-dramas, which have been amazing. I do have to watch myself about binging too much, but recently, as in this month, I'm trying to track my simulcasts from Crunchyroll and come up with a schedule and what's it called? Habit stacking. I have habit stacked watching the new 𝖒𝖊𝖓𝖓𝖓 episode with using my rowing machine to exercise, which is a whole different thing. But I'm trying to be healthier in my body so that I'm not in pain when I'm having a pain flare up. That also can trigger some shopping escapades, especially if it's, like a pain relief kind of thing. I'm just like, make it stop. So that's that. Yeah. So make sure you have a replacement for your addiction behavior. And also, I am just talking about addictive behaviors here. I don't have the experience to speak on substance abuse. So the only thing that I can really say is if you're struggling, or if you or someone that you know or love is struggling with substance abuse, please contact professional help. I can link some resources down in the box below, and I'll do that for some Shopaholic type stuff. So for my Maker's Year portion, if you've been following me for any amount of time, maybe you're just here for the no-buy stuff, which is fine. I had wanted to make my budget workbook to get published with, what's it called? Kindle Direct Printing. I didn't do that, so that was a complete misfire there. I have been making my Astrology Grimoire videos. I did not start on my Capricorn art journal, but I did start my Otome art journal. I've literally only done the one thing in there, and it's been a mixed bag, let's say that. For my Saturn altar, which has been another tool in my toolbox, that's still there. My mom gave me pictures of my great-grandma, and I put them in a safe place, and I can't find them now, so there are no ancestor pictures. I was also wrong about who my nightstand had belonged to previously. I had thought that it came from my dad's dad. Apparently, it came from my mom's grandfather, who was a terrible person. So as soon as she told me that, and she told me that possibly last year, I was just like, oh my god, do I burn this thing? He was a wife beater. He was terrible. I'm And even in that video about doing the ancestor altar, I was like, no one is clean. Our ancestry is not clean because we are the product of so many people who have survived. And take me, for example, I have both Jewish blood, people who've died in the Holocaust, and also a German soldier who died in World War II, like in my veins here. So like every human beings are nuanced and our ancestry is going to be nuanced as well. Maybe you have, ancestry where you have like one tribe who sold out another tribe. And so you're like, I can't claim that. I don't know what to tell you. But I think for me, sitting with that and recognizing that nobody's perfect. Some people have done terrible things, but we are all human. I feel like that is also something that I needed to absorb. Going back to how addiction is not a moral thing, while someone who is in active addiction can do morally terrible things, the addiction itself and a person having an addiction, that is not right or wrong, but a person who is in active addiction can do very wrong and terrible things. So like treating people, treating addicts, treating anyone who is struggling with an addictive behavior or whatever, treating them as if this is easy. It's an easy choice. You just like turn it off. That's disingenuous and it's unkind. So that's all I'll say about that. So I do have Saturn's offering cup on my altar, as well as the Morrigan's. I moved her cup there. It just made sense. So they get their daily coffee every morning. The Saturn scrub that I had bought to cleanse and purify my I don't even know. Purify my what? My intentions? I don't know. I don't use it a lot. I did use it more earlier, but I'll do a refresher maybe once a month or so. So I still have that little 4-ounce jar. I don't remember how much it was. So I haven't needed to buy another one, and I don't think I will buy another one after it's done. I do like it. It's nice, but I don't think I will need to buy another one is what I'm saying. And that's pretty much it. And the distance from the obsessing has given me the ability to better identify what is a need versus what is a want. And own it. Let's be frank. It's not like when I was buying all of the things last year and the year before that and the year before that I didn't know that I didn't need these things, but the feelings in the body made it feel like if I don't get this, something bad will happen. So trying to monitor my feelings in the body and stuff like that has been very helpful. That's really about it. That's all the notes that I have. I feel like this is going to be kind of long. Hopefully I can edit it down. I'm sorry it's like all over the place. I literally had to stop recording and watch the video that I recorded because I couldn't remember what I had just said multiple times. So I apologize in advance for that. And yeah, if you are doing 𝖍𝖎𝖓, how's your 𝖍𝖎𝖓 going? Where do you find yourself having difficulty? Where do you find yourself being really good at it? Good luck if you are continuing with your 𝖍𝖎𝖓, and this might be the only update except for, at the year end. So thanks for watching. Bye.